Just a few days before the murder, Amanda had started dating Rafael Solicito, a 23-year-old computer science student she met at a concert. Police questioned why Amanda wasn't staying at her apartment, why she hadn't seemed more emotional, and why Rafael had suddenly become so involved. And the more Amanda and Rafael tried to defend themselves, the further they seemed to fall. In the court of public opinion, Amanda was already guilty. Amanda said a name, Patrick Lumumba, her boss at a local bar. Patrick was arrested almost immediately. He spent nearly 2 weeks in jail before investigators confirmed his alibi. He was released without charges. The case against Amanda and Rafael started to build. On December 4, 2009, after nearly a year of courtroom testimony, the verdict was announced. Amanda Knox was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 26 years in prison. Rafael Solicito received 25. Forensic findings had been discredited. Witness testimonies were inconsistent, and most notably, there was someone else. Rudy Gade. His DNA had been found throughout the crime scene. He had fled to Germany shortly after the murder, but was extradited and tried in a separate fast-track proceeding. In 2008, he was convicted of sexual assault and murder and ultimately served 13 years in prison before being released in 2021. Despite his conviction, prosecutors had insisted Amanda and Rafael were involved as well. But in 2015, the High Court made it clear there was no credible evidence linking either of them to the crime. This time, there would be no appeal, no retrial. It was over. She had spent nearly 4 years in prison, 8 years fighting a system intent on blaming her for a crime she didn't commit, and nearly a decade being vilified in the media. But even after the final acquittal, the Amanda Knox case left behind some hard questions. How did two people go to prison with so little proof? Amanda didn't act the way the public expected. She smiled at the wrong time, kissed her boyfriend outside the crime scene, wrote strange things in her diary. Those behaviors were packaged into a story, and that story was easier to believe than the possibility that the investigation had gone wrong. Why was Rudy Gade's conviction not enough to stop the prosecution? Because the legal system had already committed to a version of events that included Amanda and Rafael. To admit they were wrong would have meant admitting the case was flawed from the beginning. Instead, prosecutors tried to fit Gade's involvement into their existing theory, claiming he didn't act alone despite the lack of evidence supporting that idea. It was a case built in reverse. The suspects came first and the justification followed. The Amanda Knox case was an example of how the justice system, the press, and public opinion can all interact to distort reality. When an investigation prioritizes sensational headlines over the facts, and when the court of public opinion drowns out the courtroom itself, Amanda was lucky to walk away free, but others may not be so fortunate.